Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to today's recap. And look ahead, and just so you know, this is my last recap for about a week. I'm heading to Mexico with the families for a vacation. Hopefully everyone does well. I'll leave you with some closing micro and macro thoughts or intermediate thoughts. At this point, yesterday we had that big reversal, that probably got a few people offside. So today we came in not knowing what was going to happen with the biggest reversal in 14 months. So said, let's be tactical. So if we open up in the hole, maybe we could buy it. If they rally it, maybe you could short it. Let's use the red dog reversal to maybe enter, because at least we'll have some price discovery from the morning if we want to play a bounce. And then if we do bounce, where can we go to where you can get out of your bounce for cash flow, and then maybe even sell it for a little bit of a H-sell setup. So in the morning call, I went extensively into how to do that with the spiders, with the Qs, and with Amazon. And I chose Amazon because Amazon yesterday had its first topping tail in a while, which to me is a sell signal, especially after a 70-point run. But we'll get into that. First things first, let's go to the chart of the S&P cash. At this point, I could say it's vulnerable, but again, not falling apart, still above the 50-day moving average. I'm leaving for Mexico. Guys are like, what would you do? Going, bone to head. Gun to head, would you be long or short for a week while you're gone? And I said, you know what? I don't have enough conviction to be long or short here. I'm just not going to have any of it on. You have a little bit of a breakout failure, okay, but it also held the 50-day again. So with that being said, you have this bigger wedge type pattern, and something's going to resolve it to the upside, whether it's NFP, whether it's Russia, Syria, I don't know. But I'm not going to be sitting at my desk to execute. And I won't be sitting at my desk to actually put a stop in. So you know what? I'm just not going to do it. But for today, if you want to look at how you could have executed, so this is what you knew when you came in this morning. Spiders, what is the low? 234.54. 234.54. That was the low of yesterday. So in the first 30 minutes, they tried to press it below, because in order to have a day one down and have a day two down, what do you have to do? Stay below the prior low of the day one down. And that is the battleground. So the first 5 minutes of the day, sellers who were short from yesterday probably said, hey, let's see if we could press this thing lower, okay, and see if there's more downside. So what I just say was the low of yesterday, 234, whatever this was. So here they came in, opened a little bit lower, little bear flag here, looked like they were going to break it below, and then boom, couldn't break it below, wide range bar, held here. Some of you guys might have just got long on that actual, if your computer you did. A lot of people have actually the Red Dog Reversal program now. If you're a computer, you could have then just bought that spot 234.54, that's what it was, yes, and said, hey, I'm going to buy it with the stop at the low of the morning, okay, so that right here, you could have bought it, and then boom, if you missed that, said, okay, I missed that happened way too fast. Here, let's see if we hold higher. You could have been a buyer into this versus that, and then you wind up having, a dollar trade back into resistance. And I went over the resistance actually in the morning call on where if we were to get to and the sellers have any control, they probably want to negate right around, I think, here. Okay, that was a bigger resistance. Okay, so anyway, little Bible tactic. If you sold your spiders when this wide range bar broke this trend from yesterday, or even when it broke into the gap here, down here, why not try it? And then that was your trade. The VTF actually saw me do it with the IWM, because that's what I chose as my vehicle. Because I had meetings at 10:15, so I actually did two trades, and then I had to really get out of the way. So anyway, here's the IWM. Here is yesterday's low, 134.08. That's all you know. All you know is you've had 3 down days, 1, 2, 3, and perhaps there's a buyable bounce. Okay, so in my note I write down what that pivot is. The pivot was right here, 134.08. That's all you know. In order to go to here, what does it have to do? Stay below 134.08 and stay below it to continue. If you reclaim it, not going there yet. So anyway, you go to the 5-minute chart if you were prepared with that 134.08, and it actually took a little bit longer, okay, than the spiders. Okay, I don't know why this is over here. So let me close this, it went below it. It hovered. So right around 10:30, I'm like, you know what? Spiders are acting okay. I see some decent signs. Let me get long it. Got long it actually right around here, and I put a stop in at the low of the day. And then all of a sudden, boom, went right back into where it broke down from, resistance. So I called up the trade desk. They got me out of most. Okay, so that was a nice trade. And then as it broke this trend off the lows, I said, you know what, I'm leaving for vacation. I'm not holding it as a swing. Let me just get out of it. But that was your calculated trade. It went as low as what? 130, 130, actually went a little bit lower than that. I thought it went to like 133.80-ish. So anyway, you had 25-cent risk if you bought it right here. Stock's been down for 3 days. And then it actually even wedged. You could have added if you were sitting at your desk here, which I wasn't. I just bought in here and put a low in. And then I actually sent out a tweet saying I sold some here at 134.50. If you were long from the RDR price, take your trade. Why? Because you're in resistance, and this was the easier part of the bounce. So now I have to figure out what's next. So anyway, the IWM had a decent bounce. And those are the three things I went over in the morning in depth, besides Amazon. Why did I go over Amazon in depth? Because Amazon had a topping tail yesterday. What do I mean by topping tail? That is a topping tail. Okay, the stock had an enormous move. Enormous, huge. Okay, this was your last real buyable spot at 862. Okay, all of a sudden, yesterday I know a lot of us were trying to short it and got a little stopped out at 920. It only went to 922, and then later in the day it failed. Some of you guys went back to it and went short overnight. This topping tail probably told you to get short overnight. So when we were up $5-6, people are like, Red Dog, what do I do? I said, be short versus yesterday's high and maybe look for an H sell setup. So, basically, everyone's like, what's an H sell setup? I heard you say it so many times. I know the RDR, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, you have a topping tail, okay, or you have a big move down and gets an oversold bounce. You short into resistance, and then it comes off that. Then you have a new area. And this way you're not just shorting it at the prior day's low for continuation. So you're getting a good price, okay, versus a level, and then it starts heading lower. Some people don't like to wait for that 5, 15, 30-minute high of the morning. This was 15 minutes, and then trade versus that. So you have two different levels. And then once it rolls down, you're in it. Then some people will short more when it goes negative. I think that's when I added a little bit and then covered, and then you could sit in it as a swing. Okay, I didn't sit in it as a swing. I probably should have. Because you wind up getting paid a nice amount of money if you did. So here's a topping tail. Usually if you just trade the daily chart, you say, okay, in order to get continuation in a topping tail to the downside, considering look where the 8-day is, all the way over here, okay, very extended, has to trade below this prior low. So 905.62 is an entry. If it gets below and stays below, plus the rally, it opened up $4 or $5, and then that's what you had. So if you were looking for a day-and-a-half short Amazon, it couldn't have gotten better than this. And what does this look like? A little H, right? There's your pole. Here's your little lowercase h, like this. Boom. So you could have shorted into a little bit of the gap up. Didn't really give you much pain. And then added when it went through yesterday's low. And then I would say take some off. And if you're looking to buy the stock back, maybe you buy it back here at the 8-day or a Red Dog reversal tomorrow with the 894 pivot. I posted a chart of the 5-minute chart on Twitter, so you can take a look at that. Plus, I also reposted the video I did in the morning at 8:30, not afterwards, showing the H cell setup. Right here is your yesterday's move. A lot of us got short into this, covered some, and then got stopped out of the rest here. Some of you who were by your desk at the end of the day might have shorted here or shorted there, whatever. Here was where you closed, gapped up into resistance. My morning note said if the sellers want to stay in control, they probably reject price at 915 to 918. It went almost to 918. But again, you could have waited for their little price discovery before that. Here was your topping tail. This was today's high, which was, 917.19. You could have waited for that. For this bar, you could have been short versus that, or you could have just shorted instead of looking for the perfect H. And that, again, is the H. Here's your pull. Here's the up. Here's the rally back. You could have waited for this bar to short it versus that. And then, boom, you got paid right away. That's where I covered into. And then it hovered here, went below the low. And then you could have had your second entry and then covered some here and then held some and had made 2 or 3 nice entries. But all in all, that's what Amazon did. And there was ways to go about it. There's always ways to go about stuff. So now I'll see tomorrow if the 8-day holds. Some people said, do I like Google? I don't like Google right now. Why don't I like Google right now? Because, rallied back up, not to highs, not leading, a little bit of a topping tail there, closed near the lows of the day. So it's just, for me, actively, it's not worth it. Then they're like, what about, why don't you take, Apple and Facebook on vacation? You had it as a swing trade so much this quarter. I'm like, you know what? It's come a long way. I think it's a tiny bit vulnerable. Why am I going to sit in it when I can't control the trade? Maybe that iPhone push out news comes, or maybe it doesn't. But if you look at it, to me, it's just a tiny bit vulnerable. Why is it a tiny bit vulnerable? Well, you had a little bit of a topping tail here, and today it closed near the lows, and you know, you had a big move from the earnings gap where it cleared that pivot right there. You had another nice red dog reversal here to get involved, and then last week or a week or so we had this buy and this buy. So up here, when the market looks a little vulnerable, I'm just not going to sit in it and be bothered while I go away. You know, even if it goes here, it's fine, but I don't need to sit through that. So just, you know, that's what Apple looks like right now. Facebook looks pretty similar also. I was in it yesterday, got out, and like, Red Dog, why don't you get back into that? You can make money on your vacation. I'm like, well, here's a topping tail. Today it closed below the 8-day. You know, this could see the 21-day. So why, if I'm not in control, am I going to sit in that? And, you know, if something happens where it starts to break this upper, you know, wedge or whatever you want to call this, no need. So, you know, I'm just going through you could interpret this the way you want it, but this is why, you know, I'm also not short versus those points, because I'm just, if we do rally and all of a sudden we get something on taxes and nothing happens with Syria or Russia, and we go again where the jobs number is very, you know, friendly tomorrow. I think tomorrow we're going to have a good number. It's not going to be as hot as the ADP, so we'll see how the market treats that, but I'm going to be on a plane, so why am I going to be involved if I'm on a plane during the ADP? Non-farm payrolls, because it just makes sense. So anyway, banks, let me go over a few of these before I go. BAC still hangs around, you know, still controlled by this resistance area. Today you had a little red dog reversal. So, you know, if you're long this versus that, okay. If you did it for just a trade, okay. It's still hanging in there. Some guys made money on the video. Yes, we got stopped out. We got hurt in the video earlier this week. But some said, hey, you know what? I got hurt. I was holding it here. Okay. Got stopped out. Then today, what was a red dog reversal like? Okay, well, yesterday's low is 99.50. Went below it, went to 98.41, came back above it, and closed at 174. You could have bought it at 99.50. Had a stop. It did price discovery from here to down to here. You could have said, hey, maybe it's a higher low versus this red dog reversal here. Okay, and got involved for a trade for just the day, or maybe you had it for the day and you're holding a little bit overnight just in case we open up. But that's how you can navigate these things if you're out of your swing position tactically. I drew this line wrong. It should be a little bit higher at that low. So all in all, you know, I'm not going to be in control of my computer. And if a week and a half ago, I probably would be sitting in the 5, 6, 7 longs like I was doing massaging them, and I'd call the trade desk every day and just put some stops in either way. But for right now, the way the market looks and some of the headlines, it's not worth it to me. It's been a great quarter. Going to spend time with the family, with my son. He's 8. We're going to be playing football and soccer and in the pool, and I'm going with my best friends from home. So not going to be bothered. I might check in from here and there on Twitter. So, you know, just if I see something compelling, and if you're part of Redler All Access, you'll be getting notes from our other educators, because I'm not writing, but I might write something here or there. So with all that said, I wish you the best. Good luck. Have a great weekend. Let's hope that nothing crazy happens in the headlines, and you know, use your tactics. You don't need me to tell you how to execute what to do. You know yourself. You've been watching this show for a year, 2, 3. I think we've been doing it for over 10. You know, I've taught you how to fish. Yes, every now and then I'll throw a fish in your boat, but if I'm not here to do it, you just go fishing yourself and just follow your rules. Have a great night tomorrow and week, and I'll be in touch here and there. Bye-bye.